Weird world that we live in, and it's getting weirder in a lot of ways. You know that every man, every day, wakes up and is trying to answer one question. Women have a different question that they're trying to answer every day. We just started a men's meetup in the lower level of this facility and in the movie room. And you guys are invited. It's going to be a short series, about 5 more weeks, maybe 4. It's on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Watching a little bit of John Eldridge from Wild at Heart. He wrote the book Wild at Heart. We're looking at little short videos of some of his interviews, and then we're talking about some of those ideas. First meeting last Wednesday went real well, I thought. Video's only about 12 minutes, so if you want to get in on it, we'll run that first video again and then go on to the second one. The women, again, will be doing an 8-week series here pretty soon, and these will be the last small groups that we run until we start them up in the fall again. So get in on it. We need that. We don't need as much social media. I'm not here to talk bad about social media, but we don't need that as much as we need real relationships.
Amen.
All right, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that here in just a minute. But in our meetup this Wednesday, we learned the question that men try to answer every day that they wake up. And it has everything to do with the topic that I want to be talking to you that affects all of us today. And that question that men try to answer every day is this: do I have what it takes? Do I have what it takes? Do I have what it takes? Now, I won't divulge any of what we're sharing because that's part of our commitment to each other, that everything stays in the room. But I will say that the conversation was powerful as we openly, vulnerably shared with each other head on and dealt with some of these issues that we have to face. And really it all boils down to this, and this word, and this is the word that I learned from John Eldridge, is validation. Validation. So I want to share a little bit expanded some of the things I've been learning about validation for you today. So today what I'd like us to consider is, number one, what does it mean to be validated? Number two, where are we going to get validation from, or where are we gaining validation now? What are we looking to get validated now? And number three, how can we find validation that really sticks? It's meaningful, it sticks. You walk away with it and you have it. So much of the validation that we seek today doesn't walk away with us. It's a problem because it doesn't last. So you can follow in your YouVersion app. We've got that all set up for you. All the scriptures are in there. All you have to do is download that to your phone, and it's a real easy download. Then you go to the bottom right corner, and it says More. And you click on you punch that More, and then you look at events. There it is, right there. It even gives our location and everything. It's pretty cool. And I just want to shout out to Life Church for doing that. In Oklahoma City, they've made this available all over the world for the whole Bible app, and they do it free for everybody. That's just an amazing resource. I use it for my personal Bible quiet time. I go right to that app. At first I felt guilty I wasn't turning a page. I'm way past that guilt now. It's like, this is really wonderful. And you tech guys, you love it, right? Okay, so let's talk about this first question. What does it mean to be validated? I want to give you a definition of what it means to be validated. I'm recognized or affirmed for having intrinsic value, or built-in value, or significance and worth. So there is built into the heart of every person a God-given need or a desire to feel validated by someone that is significant in their life or someone that they respect. There's a longing to know that we mean something to somebody, right? And that our life is making a difference, that we're here for a purpose. This all has to do with validation. There are subtle ways that we go about trying to be validated by other people. And there are traps and temptations that we get into because of our great need, sometimes I would even say desperate need, to be validated, to be seen as valuable, to be seen as significant, to have a sense of intrinsic worth. There is a way to live this life, in this world even. There's a way to live this life knowing that we are truly validated. I'm going to talk to you about that towards the end of these comments. Regardless of how people consider us or their opinions of us, there is a way to live validated and secure. There's also a way to live in a way in which you are a validator. That you validate other people. You give them a sense of worth. You give them a sense of significance. You give them a sense of purpose. And I would hope that we would all aspire to that too. That we would be validators in people's lives. So the second question is this. Where do we gain validation? Where do we go to be validated? Where does validation begin with us? Well, without getting lost in all the psychology of it, much of the sense of the feeling of being valuable and being significant, of being of worth, begins in the home. In our family of origin. And that's the place where we ought to feel the most loved and the most secure and the most accepted. That's where we're supposed to be in our ultimate community of love and acceptance. And for a person who grows up in a relatively emotionally healthy home, there are no perfect families out there, so we're not raising the bar so high that we can't any of us get there. I'm not talking about that, but if it's a relatively emotionally home, then the kids that grow up in that emotionally healthy atmosphere, then they move out of there when they get older, and they bring validation to other people instead of living, searching, and sucking the life out of everybody looking for validation themselves, because they have that sense of security on the inside. They know that they're valid. They're not in constant pursuit of it. That's why it's so important for us as influencers, and can I use that word again, as validators, to validate, influence children with our ability to validate them, to show them that they are significant, show that they are loved, show that you care for them. So much of the time, we communicate to children in our lives that their value is not based on love, but it's based more on how well they do in school, or how well they do in sports, or how well they represent our family, or how well they clean their room. I mean, the list is endless. And we communicate that constantly instead of just sitting down and just hanging with them and saying, I really love you. I really, or maybe instead of just vocalizing it, hey, what do you want to do today? That communicates love, that you want to be with them. And children are hungry for that, aren't they?
Amen.
And you know something? Never grow out of that.
Amen.
Never grow out of that. So a child's value is based on love and who they are intrinsically, and not necessarily what they do. I just love that word, intrinsic. I might use it a couple more times today. It comes from a Latin word. I won't even try it because I never had Latin. But it means the essential nature or constitution, an extremely important and basic characteristic of a person. And that's what each of us have. We are intrinsically, basically, of value to God. I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't want to go there yet. So a child's value is based on love and who they are, built in, how God created them, not necessarily what they do. When we are successful in validating a child, what they do is informed and impacted by who they know they are. They're our child, they're a friend, they're a student, they're a player, they're somebody that we care for. And as we communicate that intrinsic value again, then what they do is informed by that security. When I'm not getting that validation from my primary relationships, I become a person who's always seeking for validation. And it's a deep hole in my soul. It's a dark hole in my soul. Because I'm always looking for that validation because I'm not getting it in my primary relationships. I become a person who's always hungry for something and never satisfied. And that leads to all kinds of aberrant behavior. And some of us have been there. We know what that kind of life lived is like. I'll find myself doing whatever's necessary in order that somebody might approve of me or satisfy this hunger for validation on the inside of me. Unvalidated children often turn into adults who end up in dysfunctional relationships over and over and over again in an endless cycle because of that need for validation. I'm not condemning anybody, any kind of lifestyle. I'm not condemning anybody that's gone through a world of hurt. I'm not condemning anybody. It's not my purpose. But what I am communicating is that we do have to recognize that we each have these needs. How do we meet them? How do we get them that? How do we find that answer? So here's another question. Where are we looking for validation now? Where are we looking for validation now? We've seen a great shift in our culture in the last probably 20 years when it comes to people seeking validation. We will always enjoy, won't we, the feeling of validation when it comes from a person or people or group we respect. That's always going to be there. That won't change. But there have been some other things that have changed. And it is rooted in technology. Because technology has changed our world. And what we see a shift of people. Instead, it used to be in interpersonal relationships, in the front porch, where people would, at the end of the day, just talk with each other. And that interaction is leaving our culture. It's not something that's a priority anymore. And what becomes a priority is technology. And that becomes, I think, dangerous. We go for this pseudo validation through technology, and it just leaves us shallow, hollow. Now, technology has enabled the common person right now to build an audience, to gain a following, even notoriety, through all the various social media platforms. Nothing wrong with any of that. I'm for it. I'm excited about technology. I love technology myself. Not very good at it all the time, but I see the advantage of it. I saw the advantage of it a long time ago. I was from the day when you typed out papers. And then when you made a mistake, rip the paper out, start over. When they came out with a computer that had spell check, felt like I died gone to heaven. But the problem is, there's nothing wrong with technology in and of itself. Social media is a great tool to connect. I'm on there a little bit, just so people that can connect with me if they want to. And I've had like 2 people in the last couple of years connect with me. I got one Instagram friend, my sister. I'm going to do better, Shallon. I'm going to do better. She's going to be our social media guru around here. But there's nothing wrong with those kinds of things. There's nothing wrong with connecting with people and building a following and trying to help people with that. Nothing wrong with moving products this way. I think it's amazing, some of the things. The problem is when we start using social media as a shortcut for personal validation. And then it dies. It is not worthy. That medium is not worthy of it. Lasting personal validation only comes from trusted relationships. You can have short conversations on social media, but it's that face-to-face, it's the phone call, it's those kinds of things that will validate you and find that special spot that only people can meet. Regular, real-time, face-to-face relationships is a way of, we know it's a way of vetting people, isn't it? Right? So you get to talking with somebody and you walk away and thinking, man, that girl's weird. What'd you do? You just vetted her. Or, man, I don't want to hang out with that guy. Because you can pick up things when you're in personal relationships that you can't pick up on social media. And sometimes it's dangerous what people are getting into now. It's just dangerous. So we vet people. You can't vet people very well with social media. Little in social media that enables you to do that. So we see that more and more where people are getting suckered into a dangerous situation, dangerous relationships. But more than that, social media just doesn't validate. Just doesn't have that capacity. Not really. It doesn't make you happy. It really doesn't. I'm not saying get off social media. I'm not saying that. It just doesn't make you happy.
Amen.
I knew if I stayed silent long enough, somebody would say. But let's look at some of the studies. There's been a rigorous study published by this American journal. It suggests what it does. Researchers found that the more people use Facebook, let's take Facebook for example, the less healthy they are and the less satisfied they are with their lives. The study monitored the mental health and social lives of over 5,000 people, adults, over a period of 2 years, and the subjects agreed that to participate in national surveys between 2013 and 2015. During that time, to share information with the researchers about their health, their social lives, and Facebook use. And the findings using Facebook was tightly linked to compromised social, physical, and psychological health. In March and April of 2017, 2 other studies cast a negative light on the social media use of teenagers and young adults. One of a little over 1,700, one of these studies over 1,700 Americans found that social media increased feelings of isolation. Increased feelings of isolation. They found that social media increased feelings of isolation, and the other study of over 1,500 Britons found that the websites, image-based sites in particular, exasperated feelings of anxiety and inadequacy. Are you against websites? No, we have a website. We're going to upgrade the website. It's a great tool when it's used in its proper place. But when you look for personal, interpersonal validation, you're not going to find it there, are you? According to one researcher, the bottom line is that replacing in-person interactions with online contact can be a threat to your mental health. And the researcher added, what people really need is real relationships and real interactions. Now, I can take a picture and post an opinion, and within minutes, I have lots of likes and I feel loved. Or I don't, and I don't feel loved. But God never meant for your sense of well-being and sense of worth to go up and down by how much people like you or not. Trying to find personal validation with social media kind of reminds me of eating cotton candy. You know, it's just so big, right? And you try to get your mouth around it, and it's messy. And when you're done, there really wasn't much there, was there? A lot of air, exactly. So social media is useful, it's a tool, but it's lousy at bringing meaningful significance to our lives. It's all just highlight reels. And we play that game, don't we? There's my vacay picture. Well, you don't show all the arguments you had on that vacation. You know. That's producing memories, right? Often it's inflated, sometimes it's just ridiculous, but again, I digress. So, point is that if we're looking at social media, now I'm gonna spread it out. All right, hang on. If we're looking at social media, if we're looking to spouses, if we're looking to our job, if we're looking to anything in this world, our achievements, our children, our family, if we're looking to anything for that deep sense of personal validation, we're going to find out that we are disappointed. Dave, you got anything good to say today? Yes, I do. We think, buy me that expensive car so I can feel validated. I hit 2 deer this year. I hit 2 deer. I've never hit a deer before. I hit 2 of them this year. The first one I was fortunate I was in an escape, so the deer got crushed and my car didn't. Sorry, animal lovers. The second one, my little Kia, it got crunched. And I was mad. It's like, the deer runs off. I was going to say something there about honey, but I'm not going to. The deer runs off and I got a big dent. And you know, it's like, man, I don't want to drive this thing now. It looks terrible. And you know, I got it fixed. Thank God for insurance. Fix it. It looks better than it ever has looked. I'm like, I like this car. I was like, what is the matter with me? Up and down. Send me to that prestigious school. Move me into that bigger home or the one that I want. Bring me that nice looking man or that trophy wife into my life. Give me that dream job that I've been searching for. All these things so that I can feel validated, worthy, significant. Doesn't work. Last question. How to find meaningful validation that sticks? How do we find it? Where is it? Validation is not something, listen, this is so important. Validation is not something that I can create. It's not something I can buy. It's not something that I can do. It's something I discover on the inside of myself, that I am legitimately and forever loved and accepted by my Creator. That I've been masterfully created. Every one of you have been masterfully created by God with the hope that you would have a purposeful relationship with Him, that you can talk to Him every day, that He'll talk to you, that you'd listen to Him, that you would do what He wants, and you would enjoy this special relationship with Him. Nothing compares to that. You were literally designed for this. And if you haven't found that, I know I lived that part of my life where I wasn't walking in relationship with God. And I remember that feeling of, I'm always searching for something. Nothing really satisfied. And I was driven in everything that I was doing. I was driven hard. And when I would attain that goal, I would get that goal, I'd start to enjoy it, and then it would be gone. And it's like, it just seems like it would slip through my... I remember one day, I was on a walk. I'd take these searching walks. I didn't pray. I didn't know how to pray. And I just took this walk, and I was just puzzled by life. And I sat down by a brick wall over the junior high, and I just was looking at it. And I just started praying. I started lifting up my head and my voice, and I just said, God, are you real? I remember praying that. And if you're real, what is this life all about? Man, you guys have been walking with God for a long time. Don't ever forget that feeling. Don't ever forget what darkness you were in. Because some of us are still there. And we still haven't found the light. Get in touch with that again. Because people are searching for a deep sense of significance. And it can only come from the light that comes to us as God brings it to us. In that relationship that we have with Him. And those of you that are walking with God, can I just ask you a question? Isn't that life the best life that you've ever experienced? Isn't it the most awesome thing? Don't you just want more of it? Don't you just want more of Him? Don't you just want to keep walking with Him? Oh, there's just nothing like Him. He's eternal. He's infinite. His love never runs dry. Aren't you glad? Because we still make mistakes. And He still accepts us. He still loves us. He still talks with us. It's what David sang so much about and wrote songs about. I just love reading the Psalms and just putting my name in there and putting God's name in there and just fellowshipping with the Psalms. Find a meaningful validation that sticks. How can I do it? I come to recognize that I'm validated by God already. And just knowing that He's validated me already gives me an inexplicable peace on the inside. I can't explain it. I just know that when I did bow my knee on August 31st, 1978, Thursday, I remember, in my bedroom, and I remember just bowing my knees and saying, God, I didn't even know the words to say because I didn't grow up Baptist. Alright? I didn't even know the words to say. I just bowed my knee and I just said, I know I need to change, God, change me. That's all I said. And you know what happened? There was a peace in there immediately. I didn't cry, I didn't get emotional. Some people do, that's fine. But I didn't. I just felt peace. This is what I need. This is what I've been looking for. And I still had some things that I accomplished after that. Didn't really care that much. I mean, I cared. Don't get me wrong. But I wasn't looking for that for validation anymore. My validator on the inside had shifted. It was no longer pointing at people or accolades or anything, just God. Just God. Now, it was tested. It's been tested many times. Yeah. You don't go into ministry unless you want to be tested. Yeah. You don't serve people unless you're going to be tested. Just, when I signed up, it's kind of like signing up for the military. Whatever happens, I'm yours, God. Wherever you want me to go, I'm yours. Whatever you want me to do, And then we had this conversation when I got married. Listen, I'm sold out. And she was sold out too, so there wasn't a hard conversation. I'm more sold out than you are. But there is testing of that. And when you're a validator, just pointed toward God, it makes all the difference. Then you don't really, you're not going up and down by other people's opinions of you. Real quickly, I'll just give you 3 things that you can find validation. I don't want to leave you without giving you what will validate you. I can do this in just a couple minutes. First thing is God sees you. God sees you. Let that sink down deep. Everything that you're going through, God sees it. Every pain that you've experienced, God sees it. Everything that you're believing for, God knows. God is aware of everything about us. And I wanted to remind you of that today. Because sometimes, because of this gulf between us and Him, because of this, He's in heaven. I know He's inside here, I know, but He's also in heaven. And sometimes He's hard to see. It's hard to see His hand. That's our lot in life in a lot of ways. And that's why He's given us this gift of faith. That we can see the unseen. That we can believe the unbelievable. We can embrace the things that we can't touch and feel with our senses. We can embrace that with our heart. He's given us that ability. It's a supernatural ability. But I just want you to know, I just want to reaffirm the fact that God sees you. He knows what's going on in your life, every bit of it. If you're struggling with something in your body, thank God for Tori sparking us this morning with kind of tapping into the other realm, the supernatural, where miracles happen, we're bringing heaven to earth. And it takes stepping out and speaking it and believing it and praying it. But if you're struggling in your body, faith can tap you in. Faith can tap you in to whether there's power for healing. Amen? So God sees you. Real quickly, there's a story where Hagar was brought into the family of Abraham and Sarah to have a baby. That's what she was brought in for. And then Sarah said, that's not a real good idea. And she got mad at her. Hagar did nothing wrong. Sarah and Abraham were having troubles having babies, so let's have Hagar do it. And they were having a lot of problems with it. And Hagar, she got treated badly and misused and abused. And finally, Hagar kicked her out of the house, kicked her out of the company of Abraham's people. And she was out there on the rock. She was out there pregnant, alone. And then God came to her. God came to her. This is one of those obscure passages that you always talk about Abraham and Sarah and their faith. Well, what about Hagar? What about Hagar? And Hagar's out there. She's lonely. And she says these words. After God deals with her, she says, you are a God of seeing. You're a God of seeing. You see everything. You're a God of seeing. You're Jehovah Rolla. For she said, truly here, I have seen Him who looks after me. So no matter what you're going through, I want you to know that God sees you and He's looking out after you. I'm just getting excited at the fact that God sees us. It's very simple. But if you're struggling, if you feel betrayed, if you feel friendless, You feel like your life has no purpose? God sees you and He cares. Second thing is this: God knows you. I'd like you to do something. I'd like you to, from time to time, to ask you to do this, and I hope it's okay. It's not too weird, I hope. But just close your eyes. I'm going to read a passage in Psalm 139. And listen to these words from David. That God knows you. Oh Lord, you've searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, and you are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. For you formed my inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. If I would count them, they are more than the sand. I awake and I'm still with you. Isn't that beautiful? He knows you. He loves you. And the last one is this. Oh, I just messed that up. Sorry, Dre. The last one is He loves you. In Psalm 136, verse 26, give thanks to the God of heaven, for His steadfast love endures forever. Let's stand. Let's take a moment to acknowledge that He's in the room, that God's in the room, and He deserves our honor. And there's a reason that He deserves, because He knows us and because He loves us. And that's where we are validated, because He knows every one of our faults and He still loves us. God, thank you. Father, you're amazing. Jesus, oh, we want to serve you. Holy Spirit, fill us. And for every person here, no matter where they are in this journey, oh God, if it's the first step they want to make, I pray now that you would give them boldness to take that step. And let's all pray this together. Heavenly Father, help me take this step into the life of Christ. Change me. Give me new birth from above. Now, you wouldn't pray that if you were desperate. So let's say that we're going to enter back in the darkness where we're from, and we're looking for light. How would you pray? You would say, change me from above and make me a new person. Can you say that? Change me from above. Make me a new person. Oh, that's the darkness that people are caught in. We want God to change us. And you know what? We still have darkness that has to change. So God, help us right here. Those of us that think we got it all together, help us to change right now. Oh God, help me to change right now. These areas where I think I've got it together, I've got to get my validation from you. I've got to be changed by you. Holy Spirit, help me now in Jesus' name. That will make a power-packed week for us. Are you buying in? God is so good. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. And let's internalize this. Let's pray to God this week to help us in everything that we need help in. And He will be there. He's always faithful. His love is faithful. God bless you. Make sure you shake somebody's hand on the way out. Stay as long as you want. If you have any special needs that you need more prayer on, just make yourself available and come on up here and we'll pray for you.